Around the world, more and more people are turning to citizenship by investment programs, obtaining another nationality, in essence. This is Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence, and I'm joined today by Bernd Debusmann. Bernd, you spoke to Jeremy Savory, CEO and founder of Savory Partners, for this week's cover story. Tell us what you learned.
Now, essentially, what he explained to me was that these programs are programs in which a certain country, many of them in the Caribbean or in parts of Europe, will offer citizenship if you meet certain criteria. Now, one of the criteria, of course, is that you have to be able to prove that you're doing this for a legitimate reason and nothing dubious, for example, no tax evasion, money laundering, that sort of thing. So that's an important criteria, of course. And then, of course, there's the investment part of it, which is what he does. So you have to be able to prove that you have the financial means to invest in this country. And they have different sort of criteria. But it could be, for example, you have to buy a certain amount of property, you have to invest in a certain amount of government bonds, or in some cases, for example, in St. Kitts, it's a one-time donation that you make to the country for various purposes.
What sort of sums are we talking here?
It could be anywhere from $100,000 in some cases in the Caribbean to much higher in some of the European ones as well.
Okay. So it's a big step for someone to take. Obviously, this practice has always gone on, or gone on for a long time. Why would someone want to do it, and is that increasing at the moment?
Well, it's interesting. There's quite a few reasons someone would want to do this. A big one, for example, in the Middle East is that a lot of countries are currently facing a lot of instability, political tensions, social upheaval. So in those cases, it's just, for many people, just a wise move to be able to move somewhere else and stay there and protect your assets there. For example, I was reading today that there was a spike in the fourth quarter of 2017, 73% more demand for these things, primarily driven by Syrians, Yemenis, and Lebanese nationals who are looking for other passports.
Wow.
So that, I think in the Middle East, that's a big reason, but there's all sorts of reasons. Some people might not just feel at home in the country that they're from. They might have lived abroad for a very long time and just don't feel any connection with the country of their birth and nationality. In some cases, it's a financial decision. People want to plan their taxes strategically, or in some cases, even if you have, for example, HRH in your passport, if you're from certain countries, and then you go to London, let's say, and you want to buy an apartment, the price will obviously go up when
They see the letters.
Of course. So in that case, I mean, the amount you save on the property is worth what someone might invest in the passport. And there's also family reasons. For example, there's many cases of adoption. The adoption papers are annulled because of paperwork issues in the country where the children were born. In that case, it's really about keeping families together.
Okay, and future-proofing that status.
Of course,
in the country you're in.
Once you have these nationalities, they can't be revoked in most cases. So you're kind of ensuring that your children and their children and their children even will be citizens of this other country.
Okay, tell us about some of the countries and how it varies between them that are offering these programs.
Well, as I mentioned, I mean, some of them are in the Caribbean and some of them are in Europe, and they all have different criteria and different investment amounts that would be needed. But what he was telling me, which I think makes sense, is that a lot of the demand is for passports that get you into the EU.
Right.
Of course, that has all sorts of benefits, free travel within the European Union. But the thing is that the cost is obviously more for such cases than it would be in, for example, somewhere in the Caribbean. For example, in Cyprus, which is one of the most in-demand countries, the investment you have to make in the country is not less than $2 million. So that's quite considerable. But on the other hand, for example, St. Kitts recently slashed prices. So families were getting them for about $100,000 up to $200,000, which is much more affordable. And you still get a lot of the benefits, for example, easy travel to certain places, the UK, the EU. So it depends on what people are looking for to where they invest. Of course, I mean, the high net worth individuals, they're looking for more than ease of travel. Of course, it's a business decision for them. The ease of doing business in a country, how that will help their own business. So it really depends on tax status, of course. So it really depends on what you are looking for and which passport you go for.
Okay. If anyone's watching this who's interested, what did Jeremy Savory advise for the steps that a person should take to find out whether they would qualify?
Well, I mean, provided that you have nothing to hide, like I said, I mean, there is very stringent background checks by these countries. They're not just handing passports out. provided you can do that and provided you have the money to do so. He said the time is to do so is now. I mean, a lot of these countries, for example, in the Caribbean, had slashed prices in the last year, but that won't last forever. For example, in the case of St. Kitts, the prices are going to go up from the 31st of March, so
Right.
quite soon. So at the moment, it's very affordable, but also as more people get into this, there's problems that come there. For example, more people are turning to companies which might not necessarily be reliable. In the case of Savory Partners, they're vetted by the governments they work with, but there are companies out there that aren't, unfortunately. And he finds that in many cases, people are shopping around, but that doesn't necessarily work in this because, for example, in the case of the Caribbean countries, if you're rejected by one, you're rejected by all of them and you can't apply again.
Right.
So you have to get it right the first time. So he says it's kind of, if you're going to do it, you should probably do it soon and you should go to someone reliable.
Okay. Interesting subject. Bernie, I believe in the realm of passports, you might have more than one passport.
I do. I have 3 passports, which has been helpful in my life.
Did you buy any of them?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, you've been watching Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence. This is Bernd Debusmann. Please do join us every weekday at 10 a.m. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and we'll see you next time. Bye.